I want to talk to you about the primary drivers we have. Each one of us has a primary driver which propels us into some kind of action, which moves our hearts, minds, emotions, action. Everything is directed towards certain goals, certain targets we want to achieve, or certain things we want to derive, maybe the joys of life, etc., and so on. So we'll talk about the primary drivers that motivate each one of us here, right? So in this one, we are talking about just three primary drivers: your intellect, your emotion, and action. Just three drivers here, just 4 points here to discuss, all right? So the first one, intellect as the driver. Now, the intellect, if you're driven by intellect, as you can see in the picture over there, you will have the consequence of emotion and the consequence of action as a result of intellect being your primary driver. We are only talking about primary drivers. All these three drivers, intellect, emotion, and action, is present in every single one of us. But if your intellect is the primary driver, your mind, reasoning, logic, that faculty of us which analyzes, dissects everything to find out what's rooted underneath, right? That intellectual faculty. If that is the primary driver you have, emotion will become the consequence, which means to say what? You will first think something and then feel about that particular thing. You will first intellectualize it, you'll first reason it, go about it logically, you'll cut through the various threads to come to the core of some subject matter or whatever you're thinking about, or goals, or life, or anything really, any area of your life. And then you will derive the emotion out of it. And once you derive the emotion out of it, the resultant thing, you will take action for it. Or, on the other hand, you will take intellect and directly act on it, and then you derive the emotion. It's like a triangle, as I'm showing you over there. Intellect, emotion, and action are triangles, the apex points of the triangle. So either you will first think and act directly, and the resultant of thinking and acting will then bring you to the emotion. You will derive the emotion from there. Okay? So this is the first aspect which I wanted to show you, which is intellect as the primary driver. You're always about thinking first. You want to analyze and get the reasons before you can act. That means to say what? Another way of saying this is, if you are not convinced, so to speak, of the reasoning, of the logic, of the rationale behind it, behind whatever it is that you're out to accomplish, behind whatever you're studying, for example, behind your school, college, and university subjects, or behind your education, or behind your job, or your career, if you're not primarily fired up by your intellect, you will not find any emotion in it, neither you will be prompted to take any action on it. This is the reason why intellectual people, unless they are fired up by their intellect, they don't derive any emotion, and they get paralyzed. They don't take any action in the world either. This is one of the key things you need to notice if you are a very intellectual, logical, reasoning kind of a guy or a girl. Because if you are only banking on your intellect to get you to move your feet, take some action, go forward in life, to feel something, joy, sadness, remorse, frustration, anger, whatever it is that you want to feel, first point will be, starting point will be intellect. So you're actually holding yourself hostage to your own intellect. That's intellect as the driver. The second one we come to is using emotion as the driver. Now we have the same triangle, but we have emotion on top, which means, how does this person work? Everything is about emotion first. They evaluate anything, any action, or even use their minds or your logic or reasoning, or if they have to take some action, they will first feel it into it. They will first feel into things. They will say, does this make me happy or sad? Is this what I really want to do in life? Does this make me happy? The happiness factor, the contentment factor. That's what they want to feel first, and that becomes their handicap and their way of experiencing the world. In a sense, if you don't feel happy about certain things, if there is no projected sense of happiness, if there is no projected sense of joy, contentment, love, affection, and so on and so forth, all the range of human emotions, they won't take any action towards it, and neither will they use their mind about it. They will start using the mind from emotion as the beginning point, meaning you're going from heart to the head. You're not, and then forward to action. You're not using your intellect as a beginning point, as the primary driver. Primary drivers are just the beginning points of this triangle. So in this particular case, emotion becomes the driver of intellect and action. So these kind of people, your own emotion will hold you hostage. If you don't feel something, or if your projected emotion does not feel a certain way to you, which is pleasing to you, you will stop your mind, you will stop your actions. So you will sit there paralyzed with your own emotion, unable to move forward in life. Why? You have just used your own emotion as your blocking point. You have used that as the primary driver. That's number 2. The third one is where you take action as your primary driver, meaning you don't care about what the mind thinks, you don't care what you're going to feel, you just said jump into action first. Let me just get into the thing. Let me start the process. Let me start the ball rolling, and then see what thoughts I get, what feelings I get, what kind of rational or logic I will use, or what my next plan is, or what my execution plan is. You will think about that later. You'll act first, think later. You will act first and feel things later. Feel and thinking come later to you. First comes action. These are very action-oriented people. These kind of people take action as their primary driver. Unless there is some action going on, these people will be finding themselves constantly restless. These are the restless kind, moving from one thing to another very quickly, action-oriented. So if action is the primary driver, if there is no action, this becomes a hold point for you. This becomes the catalyzing point for you, where you find yourself paralyzed simply because you're not able to take any action, or there is no action to take, and then you stop using your mind and your emotion altogether. You are not starting intellect or your emotion as your starting points. You directly want to go into action, and from that experience you want to derive or start catalyzing your mind and intellect, and you want to start catalyzing your emotion. So you think and feel basically in according to whatever action provides you with as a feedback mechanism. This is number 3. Now I want to talk to you about the last point, which is what popularly is called the best possible outcome. You'll see all the management and leadership gurus go on and on about best possible outcome. What is the best possible outcome of this scenario? You'll find all marketing and leadership fellows and projected Wall Street people going around about what is the best possible outcome of this thing. Well, let's examine with respect to our apex points in this triangle: the action, the intellect, and the emotion. If you're dominantly acting from only one of these points in your life as a habit, as a pattern, as a personality type, you can take the personality types, which is on another playlist on this channel, to find out what's your action motivation, or intellect motivation, or emotional motivation. Okay? So what's the best possible outcome? Well, I suggest you use all 3 first as a mental exercise, as an imaginative exercise first to begin with. You play it out like a thought experiment every single time you want to take something, every single time you want to consider something even. If you're considering taking an action, first think about it, feel into it, and then take action. In this way, before you proceed forward with any kind of situation, any kind of planning or target or goal setting in your life, out to accomplish something, you have done a little bit of an imaginative and thought experiment within yourself. You sat there down yourself for 5 minutes or so and considered all the intellectual implications, what all you would need, what all you need to plan, what resources you need, What kind of materials you need, how much money you need, what kind of partnerships you need, what kind of situations you need to be in, countries you need to go, and so on and so forth. Do all the whole 9 yards of planning, okay? So now you intellectualize it first. Next, you must emotionally feel into it also. Put yourself there. You're thinking of becoming a millionaire? Well, become a millionaire in your imagination. It's limitless. Sit there, close your eyes, imagine the whole possibility right down to every minute detail. And once you go there and feel into everything that as if you are already there, then you can feel the whole range of emotions. See if it makes sense to you. See if that's what you're looking for. And then take action steps towards meeting that, if that makes sense to you. So now you've combined all the apex points of the triangle. You're moving forward with deliberate purpose, and then and only then you will get the best possible outcome of whatever it is that you're striving for, whatever experience that is and goals you're looking for in life. All right? Take care, be safe.